Excuses make us feel safe, but that safety is an illusion. They act like a warm blanket that shields us from discomfort, fear, and responsibility. But in reality, that comfort slowly suffocates our potential. Every time we say, I'll start tomorrow, or I don't have time, we're not preserving our peace, we're building invisible walls between ourselves and our dreams. Excuses are the mind's clever way of protecting us from failure, rejection, or hard work, but in doing so, they rob us of the very experiences that lead to success and fulfillment. Think about it. Every great success story began with someone who refused to hide behind excuses. The difference between the person who achieves and the one who dreams lies in their response to obstacles. One says, I can't because, while the other says, how can I? Excuses are the language of limitation. They disguise themselves as logic. I don't have the resources. I'm too tired. I'm not ready yet. But beneath every excuse lies fear. Fear of failing, fear of being judged, fear of stepping into the unknown. And when fear dictates your choices, you stop growing. Growth only happens when you step into discomfort. It's the gym where your mental and emotional muscles are built. Excuses keep you out of that gym. They convince you that avoiding pain is the right choice, when in reality, pain and progress are inseparable. You can't have one without the other. Every time you choose comfort over challenge, you trade your future for temporary ease. You silence your ambition in exchange for short-term relief, but deep inside, that unfulfilled potential doesn't disappear. It grows heavier with every passing day. Excuses also create a pattern. The more you use them, the easier they become. One day it's, I'm too tired. The next it's, I'll try when I feel motivated. Before you know it, a week becomes a month becomes a year, and your goals are still on the same list, untouched. Excuses don't just delay success, they destroy discipline. They condition your brain to choose the path of least resistance until it becomes your default setting. And once that happens, it's not just your dreams that suffer. Your self-belief starts to fade too. You stop trusting yourself because deep down, you know you've been lying to yourself all along. That's the painful truth about excuses. They give you momentary comfort but long-term pain. They allow you to sleep peacefully tonight, but wake up with regret tomorrow. They are like a poison that tastes sweet but kills slowly. And the worst part? They're easy to justify. You can convince yourself and everyone around you that your reasons are valid, but deep inside you always know the truth. You know you could have done more. You know that not enough time was really not enough commitment. You know that I'll start when I'm ready really meant I'm afraid to begin. The world doesn't reward excuses, it rewards execution. Those who succeed aren't always the smartest or the most talented. They're simply the ones who stop giving themselves permission to stay comfortable. They feel fear and do it anyway. They face obstacles, but refuse to let them become excuses. And with every action they take, they weaken the power of hesitation. If you look closely, excuses are rarely about external limitations. They're reflections of internal hesitation. When you say, I don't have time, it's not really about hours in a day, it's about priorities. When you say, I'm not good enough, it's not a fact, it's a belief. When you say, I can't do it now, what you often mean is, I'm afraid of what happens if I try. Once you understand that, you realize that every excuse is an opportunity to confront your fear, not feed it. And this is where transformation begins. When you stop negotiating with your excuses, you stop letting them win small battles. You stop believing that tomorrow is guaranteed. You stop allowing comfort to dictate your future. The truth is, the illusion of safety that excuses create will never protect you from the pain of regret. It will only delay the inevitable moment when you realize how much you could have achieved if you had just taken that first uncomfortable step. So the next time your mind whispers, not now, remind yourself that every delay steals a piece of your dream. Every excuse distances you from the life you could have lived. Excuses may feel safe, but that safety is a trap, a silent thief that robs you of growth, courage, and the satisfaction of knowing you gave your best. The comfort zone built by excuses might feel warm today, but it will become your prison tomorrow. Only when you break free from that illusion does real growth, real progress, and real fulfillment begin. Each time we make an excuse, we lose a chance to act, learn, or grow. Life is full of fleeting moments, moments that hold the potential to change everything, yet most people let them slip away, waiting for the right time. But the truth is, there's no perfect moment, no flawless plan, no ideal condition. Every time you delay action, thinking you'll start when you're ready, you unknowingly close a door that might never open again. Opportunities don't wait, they pass quietly, and once gone, they rarely return. Every excuse we make feels small at the time, harmless, even logical. I'll start next week. I'm not ready yet. I'll do it when things calm down. But those words are silent dream killers. They sound reasonable, but they cost you momentum, experience, and growth. Action, no matter how small, always moves you closer to your goal. Inaction, no matter how justified, always moves you further away. Success doesn't come to those who wait for perfect timing, it comes to those who act in imperfect conditions. Think about it. How many dreams have died not because someone wasn't capable, but because they kept waiting? Waiting for motivation, waiting for support, waiting for the stars to align. The truth is, greatness doesn't reward hesitation, it rewards persistence. The people who change their lives aren't necessarily the most talented or the most prepared, they're simply the ones who start. They move despite fear, despite doubt, despite uncertainty. They understand that progress is born in motion, not in planning. Excuses rob you of growth because they stop you from learning through experience. You can't learn to swim by standing at the edge of the pool analyzing the water. You can't learn to build a business, speak with confidence, or chase a dream by waiting until you feel ready. Growth is messy, it's uncomfortable, it's uncertain. But it's through that discomfort that you evolve. Every step you take, even if it's imperfect, teaches you something valuable. Every excuse you make, on the other hand, teaches you to stand still. The danger of excuses is that they create a false sense of safety. You tell yourself you're being smart, that you're waiting for the right conditions, but in reality, you're protecting yourself from the risk of failure. You think you're avoiding pain, but you're actually inviting regret. Because while fear fades when faced, regret lingers forever. It haunts you in the quiet moments, reminding you of the chances you didn't take and the dreams you didn't chase. Opportunities have an expiration date. The world moves fast, and timing matters. That idea you have today might not be relevant a year from now. That connection, that opening, that chance encounter, it might never come again. Life rewards urgency, not excuses. When you act, even in uncertainty, you send a message to the universe that you're ready, and opportunities begin to multiply. But when you hesitate, the world moves on, leaving you behind. Every successful person you admire has a story filled with imperfect beginnings. They didn't wait for clarity, they created it through movement. They didn't have all the answers, they learned by doing. The first steps were uncertain, the path unclear, but they acted anyway. That's what separates achievers from dreamers. Dreamers talk about what they'll do someday. Achievers turn someday into today. Excuses also steal something deeper than opportunity. They steal belief. Every time you justify inaction, you send a message to yourself that you can't handle the challenge. Over time, this weakens your confidence and chips away at your self-worth. Action, even small action, builds belief. Each time you move forward, you prove to yourself that you're capable. You silence the doubts and strengthen the discipline that drives long-term success. Think of your dreams as doors waiting to be opened. Each excuse you make is like locking one of those doors. You might think there will be another one ahead, but sometimes there isn't. Sometimes that was the door, the one that could have led to your breakthrough, your transformation, your new life. The tragedy isn't that we fail, it's that we never even try. You can't grow if you don't act. You can't learn if you don't step out. You can't change if you keep hiding behind excuses. Every moment you hesitate, life moves forward without you. Time doesn't pause for your fears. It keeps ticking, indifferent to your hesitation. The dream you delay today may not be waiting tomorrow. The chance you ignore now might belong to someone else next week. So while others wait for the perfect moment, the brave move forward with imperfect steps. They stumble, they struggle, but they keep going. because they know that progress doesn't come to those who wait, it comes to those who move. The world belongs to the doers, the risk takers, the ones who understand that excuses will always exist but opportunities won't. Greatness doesn't wait for the right moment, it's built by those who make the moment right. When you take full responsibility for your actions, you remove excuses from your life. Responsibility is the foundation of freedom, because the moment you own your choices, you gain the power to change them. Most people spend their lives blaming circumstances, luck, timing, or other people for where they are. They point fingers at everything outside themselves, their past, their upbringing, their job, their environment, and in doing so, they hand over their power. Blame feels easy, but it keeps you stuck. Responsibility, on the other hand, may feel heavy at first, but it's the key that unlocks growth, confidence, and real success. When you take ownership of your results, good or bad, you step into control. You stop waiting for the world to fix itself and start realizing that you are capable of shaping your own reality. Every time you say, "It's on me," you reclaim the steering wheel of your life. You stop being a passenger, driven by circumstance, and become the driver who chooses the direction. That simple shift in mindset, from victim to victor, changes everything. Blaming others might give you temporary comfort, but it strips you of long-term power. When you believe your failures are caused by someone else, you lose the motivation to improve. You tell yourself there's nothing you can do, that life is unfair, that luck isn't on your side, that you're just a victim of the system. But when you accept full responsibility, you gain clarity. You stop seeing yourself as powerless and start asking better questions. What can I do differently next time? What lesson can I learn from this? How can I turn this setback into strength? Responsibility transforms pain into progress. It gives meaning to mistakes and purpose to problems. Taking ownership doesn't mean blaming yourself for everything that happens. It means understanding that you are responsible for how you respond. You can't control every event, but you can control your reaction, your effort, and your mindset. That's where true strength lies. Life will throw challenges your way, failures, rejections, disappointments, but your response determines whether they break you or build you. The people who rise above adversity are the ones who say, "This is hard, but I'm responsible for what I do next." Excuses are born from avoidance. We make them to escape the discomfort of accountability. It's easier to say, "It wasn't my fault," than to admit, "I could have done better." But while excuses protect your ego, they destroy your progress. When you stop making excuses, you stop running from reality. You face the truth, and that truth, even if it's uncomfortable, sets you free. Because once you know what went wrong and accept your role in it, you can fix it, you can learn, you can grow, you can change. Owning your life also builds character. It earns you respect, not just from others, but from yourself. There's power in looking in the mirror and knowing that you are fully responsible for your journey. You're not waiting for someone to rescue you or for luck to find you. You're creating your own path, making your own opportunities, and holding yourself to a higher standard. That kind of accountability breeds discipline, and discipline leads to mastery. Taking responsibility also transforms how you see challenges. Instead of viewing them as unfair, you start seeing them as tests, opportunities to prove your resilience. Every setback becomes feedback, not failure. Every obstacle becomes a lesson in disguise. You start to realize that life isn't happening to you, it's happening for you, giving you chances to grow stronger, wiser, and more capable. That perspective shift is what separates those who succeed from those who stay stuck. When you live with full ownership, your confidence begins to rise. You stop feeling helpless because you know that no matter what happens, you can adapt and improve. Even when you fail, you don't see it as defeat, you see it as information. Proof that you're trying, learning, and evolving. You understand that growth requires accountability, and accountability requires honesty. You can't grow while lying to yourself. Blame builds walls, but responsibility builds bridges. It connects you to your goals, your purpose, and your potential. Every time you say, "It's not my fault," you close a door. Every time you say, "It's on me," you open one. The more responsibility you accept, the more power you gain. You become unstoppable because you no longer depend on external forces to define your success. You stop reacting to life and start creating it. When you stop blaming and start owning, you transform your entire mindset. You stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and start asking, "What can I do about it?" That's the moment you evolve from a victim to a victor, because victory doesn't belong to those who never fail. It belongs to those who take responsibility, learn from every failure, and keep moving forward no matter what. Excuses fade when you take action. The moment you move, even in the smallest way, you weaken the grip of doubt and hesitation. Most people wait to feel ready before they start, believing that motivation must come first, but that's one of the biggest lies holding them back. Motivation doesn't precede action, it follows it. The energy, drive, and belief you're waiting for are born the instant you decide to move. Reading one page, running 1 mile, making one phone call, these may seem insignificant, but they hold the power to change everything. Action is the antidote to excuses. It transforms fear into focus and confusion into clarity. The moment you act, the fog in your mind begins to lift. You stop overthinking, stop doubting, stop waiting for the perfect moment, because movement itself creates momentum. It's not about doing something massive, it's about doing something. Small, consistent actions taken daily compound into results that once seemed impossible. The first step doesn't have to be perfect, it just has to be taken. Excuses, on the other hand, thrive in stillness. The longer you sit still, the louder they get. They whisper reasons to delay. You're not ready, you don't have enough time, what if you fail? But when you start moving, their voices fade. Action starves excuses because progress and procrastination cannot coexist. You can't move forward and make excuses at the same time. You must choose one. Even a tiny step forward shifts your mindset from helpless to capable. When you take action, you prove to yourself that you have control. That single page you read leads to another. That one workout builds momentum for the next. That one decision to start, even imperfectly, sets off a chain reaction. Action builds discipline, discipline builds confidence, and confidence kills excuses. It's a cycle that turns hesitation into habit and potential into progress. People often wait for inspiration, thinking they need to feel motivated before they can begin. But the truth is, motivation is unreliable, it's fleeting, it's emotional. Some days you'll have it, most days you won't. Successful people don't rely on it, they rely on discipline. They know that if they act first, motivation will catch up. The satisfaction of progress fuels them far more than waiting for the perfect feeling ever could. When you take the first step, even if it's small, you trigger a psychological shift. You go from thinking to doing, from doubting to building. Action is what separates dreamers from achievers. Everyone has goals, but only a few have the courage to act. Excuses may sound logical, but they only lead to stagnation. The person who takes one imperfect step each day will always outrun the one who keeps waiting for the perfect plan. You can't steer a parked car. Once you're in motion, you can adjust your direction, but if you never start, you'll stay stuck where you are. Taking action also rewires your brain. Each small victory reinforces a belief that you are capable. That belief grows stronger with repetition until excuses lose their power. You stop saying "I can't" and start saying "I will." Confidence isn't built by thinking positively, it's built by proving to yourself through consistent effort that you can follow through. Every completed action, no matter how small, is a deposit in your confidence bank. Over time, those deposits add up, and soon you become the kind of person who doesn't wait for permission to act. The beauty of action is that it doesn't have to be perfect to be powerful. Many people overanalyze every move, afraid of making mistakes, but progress is never clean. Every misstep teaches you something, every attempt sharpens your skill, strengthens your discipline, and silences your excuses. Failure isn't the opposite of progress, it's part of it. The only real failure is not starting at all. Action creates clarity. You might not know exactly what to do, but once you start, the path becomes clearer. Waiting for perfect understanding is like waiting for a storm to stop before learning to sail. You'll never begin. Movement gives you direction. Experience gives you insight, and repetition gives you mastery. The more you act, the less room you leave for doubt. Excuses lose their grip when you start building momentum. Momentum is powerful. It's what keeps you moving when motivation fades. Once you begin to see even small results, your brain craves more progress. What once felt difficult becomes part of your rhythm, and soon the things you used to avoid become habits that define your success. In the end, the only way to defeat excuses is through consistent action. You don't need to have it all figured out. You don't need the perfect plan or the perfect timing. You just need to start right now with what you have, where you are, because action is stronger than fear, louder than doubt, and more powerful than any excuse you could ever make. Once you move, you create motion. Once you build motion, you build belief. And once belief takes root, excuses no longer stand a chance. You can justify inaction for years, convincing yourself that you're waiting for the right moment, the right plan, or the right opportunity. You tell yourself you're being smart, patient, strategic, that someday, when everything aligns, you'll finally take that step toward your dream. But that someday rarely comes. Days turn into weeks, weeks into months, and before you know it, years have slipped through your fingers. You wake up one day realizing that what held you back wasn't lack of ability or opportunity, it was hesitation. You postponed your potential in the name of comfort, and now all that's left is the weight of what could have been. Regret is heavier than failure. Failure stings for a moment, regret lingers for a lifetime. When you fail, at least you gain experience, lessons, and strength. You can rebuild, improve, and try again. But when you never start, you gain nothing. You stay in the same place, haunted by the possibilities you never explored. The what-ifs echo louder than any criticism or rejection ever could. What if I had taken that chance? What if I had believed in myself sooner? What if I had started when I first felt the spark? These questions don't fade. They follow you, reminding you of every dream you allowed to fade away because of fear or indecision. The truth is, doing nothing is never neutral. Inaction has a cost. Every time you delay action, you pay with time, the one resource you can never get back. You can earn back money, rebuild a business, or repair a relationship, but you can't recover wasted years. Every moment spent waiting is a moment of growth lost. And while you're standing still, someone else is moving forward, someone with fewer resources, less experience, and more courage. The difference between success and stagnation isn't talent, it's action. Fear often disguises itself as logic. You convince yourself that waiting is wise, that you need to learn more, save more, prepare more. But preparation without execution is just procrastination in disguise. The perfect moment doesn't exist. There will always be uncertainty, always risk, always a reason to delay. Those who succeed don't eliminate fear, they act despite it. They understand that courage isn't the absence of fear. It's the decision to move forward while afraid. Trying and stumbling will never hurt as much as wondering forever what could have been. When you try, even if you fall short, you build resilience. You learn what works, what doesn't, and what to do differently next time. You grow stronger, wiser, more capable. Every failure refines you, every attempt brings you closer to success. Inaction, on the other hand, teaches you nothing. It traps you in a loop of overthinking, where your dreams live only in your imagination, never in your reality. Regret has a way of showing up when it's too late to fix things. It visits you when opportunities have passed, when energy has faded, when time has run out. It whispers reminders of the chances you ignored and the potential you wasted. The pain of failure fades with effort, but the pain of regret deepens with time. You can recover from falling, but you can't recover from never trying. Your dream deserves more than your excuses. It deserves your effort, your courage, your belief. Every great achievement began with someone who decided to start, not when they were ready, but when they were willing. They stumbled, they struggled, but they kept moving, because they knew that regret was a price they never wanted to pay. They chose action over fear, progress over perfection. When you take that first step, no matter how small, you begin to break free from the chains of hesitation. You stop being a prisoner of your fears and become the architect of your future. The satisfaction that comes from knowing you tried is worth infinitely more than the false peace of never risking failure. You might fall, you might fail, but at least you'll have lived boldly, not quietly faded into the background of your own life. Every dream you carry within you is there for a reason. It's a calling, a sign of what's possible if you dare to chase it. To ignore it is to betray your own potential. The world doesn't need another person playing it safe. It needs someone willing to act, to try, to create. Waiting for the right time will never make your dream real. Action will. So even if you're scared, even if you're uncertain, even if you don't have it all figured out, start now. Because one day, the opportunity you have today may not be there. The strength you feel now may fade, the window may close, and when that day comes, you won't be thinking about the times you failed. You'll be haunted by the times you didn't even try. Don't let regret become your story. Let effort, courage, and action define it instead. Your dream deserves movement, not hesitation. Action, not apologies. At the end of it all, every dream either dies or thrives based on one simple decision, whether you choose excuses or action. Excuses are easy, comfortable, and familiar, but they come with a silent cost, your potential. They disguise themselves as protection from failure, but in truth, they are the very thing keeping you from living the life you were meant to live. Every time you choose an excuse, you choose limitation. Every time you act, you choose growth. The difference between those who dream and those who achieve lies not in talent, intelligence, or luck. It lies in the decision to move forward despite fear, doubt, and imperfection. Excuses make us feel safe, but that safety is an illusion. They promise comfort but deliver regret. The mind tells us stories like, it's not the right time, I'm not ready yet, I'll start tomorrow. But tomorrow is a liar. Tomorrow never truly comes, because when it does, it's just another today, and the cycle of delay begins again. Real change begins the moment you stop waiting and start doing. The dream you've been holding in your heart isn't waiting for more confidence, more money, or more time. It's waiting for courage. It's waiting for you to stop hiding behind excuses and start taking ownership of your life. The truth is, every excuse robs you of an opportunity to act, learn, and grow. Life is full of moments that will never repeat themselves, moments that can shape your future, open doors, and reveal what you're capable of. But every time you hesitate, you let those moments slip away. Greatness doesn't reward hesitation, it rewards persistence. It rewards the ones who show up when it's hard, who move forward even when it's unclear, who take the leap even when the outcome is uncertain. Opportunity doesn't wait for perfection, it rewards preparation through action. The dream you delay today, stop waiting for the world to give you permission to begin. Stop believing the lie that you need to be ready. You become ready by moving. You become strong by trying. You become successful by failing and rising again. Every day you stand at a crossroads, one path paved with excuses, the other with effort. The first promises comfort but leads to regret. The second demands struggle but leads to greatness. Choose the second path. Choose effort over excuse, growth over fear, and action over delay. Because the world doesn't remember the people who waited. It remembers the ones who acted. Your dream is calling. It's time to stop explaining why you can't and start proving that you can.